Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at investigating forces on different objects as we look to create an experiment that's going to help us understand what's going on with our space pod, their normal thrusters, and this unknown amount of asteroid material that it may or may not have. And today, our investigation starts by looking at this big, important investigating question. If the same strength force is exerted on two objects, why might they be affected differently? We are going to need to create an experiment that will allow us to test this question and figure out, well, if we apply the same strength force on two different objects, how might they be affected differently? You'll need to plan and conduct an investigation using an experiment to help you answer this question. And your results will help us explain what might happen to the pod, its thrusters, and this unknown amount of material. So let's go ahead and talk about how you're going to create an experiment to figure out what's going on with our space pod. You're going to be given the following items, and you're going to need to create an experiment using these five materials to test that investigating question. Well, a ping pong ball, a golf ball, a stopwatch, a toilet paper spring, and a meter stick. To test the investigating question, you're going to need to think about how can you collect measurable data using our toilet paper spring here and launcher to see how exerting the same strength force, could affect the velocity of our table tennis ball and our golf ball. So you're going to be creating an experiment using these materials to collect measurable data using the launcher to see how applying the same strength force affects the velocity of these two objects. This experiment is going to help us represent what's going on in space and figure out what's going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you're going to create your experiment. In the experiment instructions table, you're going to create a step-by-step instructions on how you're going to set up the launcher to exert the same strength force on a golf ball and tennis ball to see the effects on their velocity. Each of these step-by-step instructions should break down exactly what you're going to do to set up your experiment and to execute your experiment to see this effect. So your job is going to be to think about what step-by-step instructions will you need to follow to test this idea out, and how are you going to measure the effect of the launcher on the tennis ball and the golf ball. So thinking about your experiment, thinking about your materials, what experiment can you create to collect measurable data using our launchers to see how exerting the same strength force affects the velocity of a table tennis ball and a golf ball? You're going to have to put on your experimenter hats. If you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, good luck.